Hi everyone, this is Monica. Welcome back to my Bible journaling channel. This is what I created in my Bible today based on 1 Corinthians 13, 4, 6, and 7. It says, "Love is patient and kind. It rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things." I started by sketching out in pencil my idea for this page. So I used a lot of the words from the scripture itself. There's a sketch of my 3 children, a pair of wedding rings symbolizing my marriage, and a small corner of the world. And then I did a large heart right in the center of the page. I then outlined my letters using my PITT artist pen in dark sepia. I wanted to stay away from black for the outline to make it a bit less stark. I was planning on using watercolor pencils, and so I knew I wanted something just a bit more subtle. And here you can see I'm selecting the different colors that I want to use for each describing factor of love. Erasing my pencil marks, and then I'm beginning to fill in only portions of the letters. I'm not coloring them in solidly, just adding some to the edges, to the tips. I didn't want them to be a solid color when I go back and paint them with water. I love the last 4 items here. Bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. It's a pretty amazing type of love that the Bible's speaking of here. Quickly outlining the large heart in the center of the page, adding some darker pink around the edges, lighter pink in the center to add dimension. Same thing with the word is, adding a bit of darker color for dimension. Going ahead and picking up my watercolor brush with just a little bit of water on it. I'm dabbing it on a paper towel each time I rinse it. Started with the yellow here for obvious reasons, just not wanting the dark colors to get into the yellow at all. So starting with the lightest color, moving on to the darker colors. Patience, that's always a convicting one for me. Something I'm constantly praying for in my life. Lord, teach me patience. I was really pleased with how these watercolor pencils performed this time around. Using them in these tight areas was really nice. Moving to the heart, you can see how nicely that pigment is activated just by adding a little water. Finishing with the word is. And then I'm moving on to the pair of wedding rings down toward the bottom of the page. Obviously that symbolizes my marriage. Going into the light color, then a medium color, and then the dark color. Trying to keep the light colors toward the top, darker colors toward the bottom, or where there would be any shadow. Adding the water in here, which really caused things to get a little bit muddied, but I just wanted to let that dry and come back to it a bit later. Went over to work on my earth, adding 2 different colors of blue for the water just to add a little more depth so it's not so monochromatic. Same thing with the land, adding a couple different shades of green in here. Coming in with my watercolor brush, doing the lighter color first, moving on to the dark color. Kind of leaving this really simple. It's not the main focus of the page, but it is symbolizing the love that I feel God's given me in my heart for the nations. Coming back in to add some darker colors, some outlines, some shading to the rings really helped give them good definition there. Over in the bottom left-hand corner here, starting to work on my kids. Took an eraser first thing, just to erase any extra pencil lead that's on the page. Just left enough of an outline so I could see what I'm doing. Using my PITT artist pens here, a new set that I got. that has all different skin tones. It sure came in handy for this project. Also, these kids, the style that I used for sketching them was from a Whimsical girl tutorial done by a lovely lady named Shonna. I'll link her Whimsical girl tutorial below, but I decided to do Whimsical kids for my page here. So while these represent my 3 kids, they're not really realistic renditions of who they are, but they remind me to always prioritize loving on my kids. Going back in to add some clothes. This really kind of brings them to life. Shading toward the edges with darker colors, keeping the center a bit light. Loving these new PITT artist pens that I have. Going back to add a bit of outline around their clothes, around their bodies. Erasing the last pencil marks, dating my work, adding a last outline on the is, and there's the completed project. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate the time you take to do so. I hope something here has inspired you. Please like and subscribe and comment below for more videos like this. Have a wonderful day.